Where will the Trump administration stop in their crusade against rule of law and judges? We just had a Wisconsin judge, Hannah Dugan, picked up on a criminal complaint, not even a grand jury indictment, because all she was doing is making sure that people in her courtroom are given the proper notice and due process and are arrested pursuant to appropriate arrest warrants. And now she's arrested and is facing a court appearance on May 15th. But will the Trump administration stop there? How about judges higher up the food chain? How about federal judges? How about administrative law judges? How about appellate judges? And what about the United States Supreme Court? Can the Trump administration stand in front of the American people and look them in the eye and say they will not arrest United States Supreme Court justices? Well, Peter Doocy of Fox News asked that very question of Carolyn Leavitt, the press secretary, and her answer is troubling. I'm Michael Popok. I'm going to tie together all of the protests in favor of releasing and dropping the charges against Judge Dugan, other judges coming to her defense as the Trump administration, always with a tin ear, always ham-fistedly finds a way to make it worse. In this case, threatening United States Supreme Court justices right here on the MeidasTouch Network and Legal AF. Take a minute, hit the subscribe button for MeidasTouch. Come on over to Legal AF, the YouTube channel. Do the same thing there. We're going to hit 600,000 subscribers this week alone because of you. Let's get into Judge Dugan. You may recall, it was just last week that Judge Dugan, who presides over a Milwaukee, Wisconsin Superior Court, was holding court that day. She had a criminal docket. She's a criminal judge. And Hannah Dugan had about 8 or 9 cases on the docket, and one of them was Mr. Flores Ruiz, who was there on a domestic battery, a criminal case. At that time, a swarm of ICE and federal officers descended on the courthouse in violation of their own rules, showed up with a weak piece of paper. It wasn't even a judge-ordered arrest warrant. It was an administrative arrest warrant. And people that have swore an oath to uphold both the Wisconsin Constitution and the U.S. Constitution are very concerned, as all people that believe in the rule of law and are constitutionalists are, about this administration not complying with due process rights, Fifth Amendment rights, rights of notice. I mean, it is in open daylight, it's broad daylight. They're at war with the United States Supreme Court over the Supreme Court ordering them to return Abrego Garcia from El Salvador because he didn't get Fifth Amendment rights or due process rights, and his rights were violated over a federal court order. They then sent 137 other people to the deep, darkest recesses of El Salvador, in a gulag in El Salvador after a kidnapping without notice. So we've all seen it. The state court judges have seen it. It's not that they're interfering with federal law enforcement. It's that they're trying to uphold the Constitution of Wisconsin that they swore an oath to as officers of the court, and the U.S. Constitution. That's what they're doing. So Hannah Dugan was right to require a judge at least to have looked at the arrest information and decide whether this guy Flores Ruiz should be picked up by ICE. We don't trust the Trump administration. We don't trust a piece of paper, and we shouldn't, that comes out of an administrative process that doesn't have any oversight and due process provided by a judge. And so that's why she said no. Now, similarly, she's not even indicted by a grand jury of her peers in Wisconsin. That hasn't even been seated yet. The Eastern District of Wisconsin will eventually get around to calling together about 20 grand jurors and seeing if they can even get a probable cause indictment against the judge. And so against that backdrop, we have other judges that are standing up, right? We have Monica Isham, who's a judge in a different county in Wisconsin, and she's basically sent out a memo, she sent out a memo that said, I am not holding court until I get proper guidance from the chief judge and from those here about how I am supposed to do both, uphold the Constitution of Wisconsin and that of the United States, while a lawless presidency, these are in her words, while a lawless presidency that for everyone to see rejects the rule of law, due process rights, and notice rights. No, I'm not going to allow ICE to descend on my courtroom with an administrative arrest warrant and take somebody away. We demand more and better as we are officers of the court. We are upholders of the Constitution. That's why there's a groundswell of support for Judge Hannah Dugan in the streets of Wisconsin. Sure, the Republicans in the legislature there are trying to impeach and remove her. They should build a bronze statue to her in the front of the courthouse when this is all over. So while Judge Isham is saying, I'm not holding court until somebody tells me how to split the atom and thread the needle and uphold the Constitution. And we got two responses so far from the Trump administration. You got Harmeet Dillon, who I know well. I've worked with her on some cases. She's the Civil Rights Division chairperson. She said it's problematic what Judge Isham is doing. I think it's problematic that the Department of Justice is going after state court judges for upholding their constitutional oath and putting the Trump administration's feet to the fire and not trusting them and giving them the benefit of the doubt. The Trump administration and the Department of Justice cannot be given the benefit of the doubt in anything that they do. Federal judges now recognize that. The Supreme Court deeply skeptical about the Trump administration. So, of course, Hannah Dugan was going to be deeply skeptical about that. So after some major dental work to improve my smile, my dentist, who's a friend of mine, said, don't you want to protect the hard work we just put into your mouth? I mean, you wouldn't drive a car without a seatbelt or an airbag, would you? And he had a point. If you're part of the 30% of Americans who grind their teeth, like me, then your smile needs protection. And there's no better solution than Remy's custom fit night guard. Both dentists and teeth grinders recommend Remy because a custom fit night guard is the best way to protect your teeth. And Remy is 80% less than the dentist and way easier. You receive your impression kit straight to your door. Then Remy gives you step-by-step instructions to get your perfect impression. Remy ships you your custom fit night guard made in the US in Las Vegas. The best part is Remy is so confident you'll get a perfect fit that they offer a 45-night perfect fit guarantee or your money back. No waiting rooms, no overpriced bills, just a better way to protect your teeth while you sleep. Try Remy risk-free at shopremy.com/legalaf and use code legalaf to get up to 50% off your night guard at checkout. That's 50% off at shopremi.com/legalaf with code legalaf. Thank you, Remy, for sponsoring this episode. And so when Carolyn Levitt, our press secretary, the world's youngest press secretary, was asked what I think was supposed to be a softball tossed her way from Peter Doocy, you've already arrested a state court judge, higher up the food chain. What about federal judges? What about the Supreme Court judges? And what does she say in response to make us feel better that the Trump administration won't target the United States Supreme Court? Here's the clip.
Peter, go ahead.
Thank you. A few things. You guys arrested a Milwaukee County circuit judge for allegedly helping illegal immigrants get away. As you guys look at other judges, would you ever arrest somebody higher up on the judicial food chain, like a federal judge or even a Supreme Court justice?
Well, that's a hypothetical question. Again, I defer you to the Department of Justice for individuals that they are looking at or individual cases. But let's be clear about what this judge did. She obstructed federal law enforcement who were looking for an illegal alien in her courthouse. She showed that illegal alien the door to evade law enforcement officials. That is a clear-cut case of obstruction. You don't have to be a lawyer to understand that. And so anyone who is breaking the law or obstructing federal law enforcement officials from doing their jobs is putting themselves at risk of being prosecuted. Absolutely.
You guys have.
Does that make anybody feel better? That the Trump administration, well, we got to take every case as it comes. We may arrest the Supreme Court justice. Like, if you're there and you're not just there as, a North Korean propagandist for the Trump administration, effectively, and you listen to the question, and the premise of the question is, obviously, and the soundbite we're all going to run with is, will Trump arrest a Supreme Court justice? You got to take that first. No, that is ludicrous. We would never, a Supreme Court justice, even a federal, well, it's a case-by-case basis. Warning to the United States Supreme Court, you may fall under an arrest warrant issued by the Trump administration. How else are we going to to handle it. I mean, look at this week alone. We'll just give you, it's like a blooper reel, except it's about justice and our rule of law and our Constitution. 2-year-olds, not one, a 2-year-old, a 2 and 4-year-old, 3 different children under the age of 5 got deported who are all U.S. citizens without notice and due process. So we got that going on for us. So bad that MAGA ruby red judges are saying there's a serious problem here with the Trump administration adhering to the rule of law and constitutional due process as required even by our Supreme Court. So that goes on. Hannah Dugan gets arrested because she had the temerity to ask for a better piece of paper, permission slip, than the one from the administrative process of the Trump administration. That's as good as the paper it's written on. Give me a judge, she said. That arrest warrant is so weak, that if the ICE officials and the officers knocked on a door with that warrant, the person wouldn't have to open the door for it because it's not a proper knock and announce a search warrant or arrest warrant. So Dugan didn't do anything wrong. She has an arraignment on May 15th in front of a magistrate judge, Judge Dries. But in the meantime, good luck in the Eastern District of Wisconsin in getting 20 or 23 jurors, grand jurors, to indict Hannah Dugan. She's a hero. And it is a embarrassment, and in a series of embarrassments against the Trump administration, that somebody like Hannah Dugan, a fine person, came out of Catholic Charities, came out of legal aid, the week of Pope Francis's death, while Donald Trump is stuck with eye rolling of world leaders against him, dressed in the wrong suit. Nobody wants to talk to him. He had a buttonhole Zelensky, right? And stick him on a chair for an embarrassing confrontation led by Zelensky about the war because he's blown all of his diplomacy and all of his world credibility. He has no political capital. He has no diplomatic capital. So he had to breach protocol and conduct foreign affairs and war affairs at a funeral for the Pope. What is this telling you about the presidency? Well, I know what it's telling the voters. We've already done hot takes after hot takes after hot takes. 3 rounds of polls are all in, and there's no silver lining. America and Republicans hate Donald Trump and his administration. Domestically, foreignly, militarily, national security, you name it, they hate him. Yeah? And it's stories like this one that are another, that add fuel to the fire. We're here together. MeidasTouch, fellowship, talking truth to each other. And also, in collaboration with the brothers, I do Legal AF, the YouTube channel. Now more than ever, it's so important to be at the intersection of law and politics like this. We do 10 or 12 videos a day. I bring in 10 or 12 contributors to bring you different points of view. And all we ask from you is to hit the subscribe button, which is free, to signal to us that you want this content. You need this content at that intersection. So until my next reporting, Legal AF, the podcast, Legal AF, the hot take here on the MeidasTouch Network, or Legal AF, the YouTube channel, I'm Michael Popok. In collaboration with the MeidasTouch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories, the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.